My guest today is about to revolutionize the NFT marketplace and the digital art scene. He's created a program that protects and incentivizes the artist and the investor alike. He's doing what big platforms like OpenSea and Raribles have failed to do. Oh, and by the way, he has plans to send his artwork into space. He's breaking the mold on tradition. But first... Upon graduating from Auchi Federal Polytech College in Nigeria, where he majored in painting and earned a higher national diploma in fine arts, Mr. Akhimie became an accomplished artist and had many of his earlier works commissioned by foreign investors before pursuing a broader career within the creative community. Mr. Akhimie now serves as the managing director, the COO, and lead content developer at Mobile Vault Nigeria Limited, an entertainment agency where he spent the last few decades discovering, mentoring, promoting, and managing other notable artists in the prominent West African and European music industry. He has recently returned to his original love for the visual arts by starting an online platform which showcases other legitimate high-profile artists. The venue that he created is a benefit to all involved parties. Not only are the featured artists guaranteed both immediate compensation and lifelong royalties for the talent, but it also protects a novice NFT investor by exclusively presenting genuine artists who are properly vetted before ever being premiered on this platform. His latest personal project, Diva X, is also featured on the platform. It's a social visual commentary aimed at generating attention to controversial and provocative subject matters. You can find Paul at Diva X NFT on Twitter, linkedin.com/Paul Akhimie, or his new website, influart.com. All right, welcome in, sir. How are you? Or should I say, how you day?
Yeah, I did fine. Oh, how you doing, Chris? It's an honor being on the Z10 Digital Show right now. I love the show. I've been following it for quite some time now, for the past 4 months, and I've gone to watch some back episodes that you had. Really lovely content you have. Lovely.
Thank you. And it's an absolute pleasure having you on today as well. I'm very excited to have this discussion with you. So let's just jump right into the questions.
Let's go.
Let's start with, how did your NFT platform begin? What actually motivated you to get started in the NFT realm?
Being an artist, I always have a passion of wanting to create and have an audience that will appreciate what I do. That's the major motivation, because if you create and you don't have an audience, then to what purpose? That's the very first motivation. Then again, it's a means for one to express oneself and really to feel alive. So to me, it's more like an innate need, just like for one to eat, that I have to also create. So from a creative point of view, it's a need to do basis. And NFT only presents an opportunity for me to be able to hold the intellectual property rights of what I have and be able to secure it without anyone taking advantage of my creation. Because there's a lot of plagiarism going on now. People just taking people's stuff, the ingenuity, and then they work it and they profit off it. But what NFT presents is an opportunity for those people who create to be able to lifetime royalties of their creation, and it guarantees a sense of security for the person who creates. So that's what really got me into the whole NFT business. And it's been like a technology I've been waiting for as a creative. This is something I've been craving to core. And when it did happen, I was like, this is the right time for me to really get and put a lot of my creativity out to the world.
Yeah, very interesting. You mentioned intellectual property rights, among others. So I'm assuming, is this what separates your NFT platform from other NFT platforms? What helps separate you from the competition?
Okay, as far as the technology goes, not that I'm the one who created the blockchain technology, no. But what we're trying to do is build a community that caters and looks out for the creatives. Our purpose and our goal is to galvanize and get a lot of creatives into one community whereby we could express ourselves, protect ourselves as well, and make sure that we get the due compensation and that it comes to those who create this stuff. So it's not going to be a platform where they cannot be vetted. Like this other existing platforms, like it's hard for you to vet who's the original owner of a content. Even at OpenSea, Wearables and all that fakes out there. A lot of fakes of popular NFT projects. The goal is to get a community whereby we vet practicing artists, real creators, real creatives who own rights to their content. So once you come to a platform, you come into a platform that houses people who originally own the rights to their works. That's the niche part of our.
Okay. And so these royalties, they're for lifetime, correct?
Yeah, the blockchain guarantees it because before this time, it's even been something that's been contested and been discussed. They've even politicized the whole idea of copywriting as regards the sales of physical artworks. Like for the primary sale of most paintings, once you've sold, the initial primary sale is the only thing that gets any sense of revenue or compensation for. Secondary sales thereafter, no matter how big or how humongous the return of that investment turns out for the people who buy as secondary buyers, the artist doesn't get anything.
Okay.
Unlike in the music industry, that's not what's obtainable. It's different. The creative industry in the music industry, they're more protected, though they have their own problems, but they're more protected because they could have royalties being paid and they could get royalties from secondary sales in the future, be it for broadcasting rights, mechanical rights, and for a lifetime with just one song. If it's a hit, those people could be covered for life. But it's not the same thing with fine artists. It's not. The Picassos of the world, it's that one of secondary sale and that's it. Then you have to bring something else. And then the whole scarcity of the issue, that's when you now have this middleman, the intermediaries, the galleries come in, the curators come in, the collectors come in. There are a lot of charlatans, everyone trying to have a piece of that. They also control the amount of content that artists puts out because they'll say, oh, we don't want to saturate the market and all that. So we're trying to cut out all this bottleneck and bureaucracy out of the creativity. There must be a sense of integral, there must be a symbiotic sort of relationship. The economic factor, the creative factor must not have more impression on the other. You're compelled to also create because there's demand. No, you should create if you're inspired. And so that's the process. We're trying to take the whole aspect of artists being pressured by galleries, creators, and collectors because they're looking for that, that cash cow. Oh, paint. Give us something for the next collection for next year. That shouldn't be the drive. That's the whole point. So if you got one or two projects out and you really need something to sustain you, that could sustain you for the next 5 years. You could design it to put out in because you're getting secondary revenue from it. So that's the whole idea.
I know there's a real push and drive for authenticity and genuine artists. And tell the audience more about what that vetting process that you require for each artist on your platform.
Basically, just like most people who do residence and when they're practicing, there's a record that's kept of the process of your creation. And you have a witness of people who observe. And presently now you can even have such, let's say, authentication that's like global because you put out a real time of your time lapse of your work while you create. It could be in form of a recording, if you're recording yourself while you're working, or direct media sync recording of the work itself. Probably maybe if you're working on Photoshop, if it's a digital work, you could record a time lapse of that. And then we have provided, we will use that to try and find out how authentic this person who creates this stuff is, that this is the person who actually created this. And there's also a certificate, the form that person fills. So, okay, hey, I'm certified that I'm the one who owns this work, vis-a-vis and stuff like that. So that's how we do it.
It sounds like you've got like your own version of proof of work then.
Yeah, that's the whole idea.
Interesting. Very interesting. All right. So who are some of these other artists that are contributing to the project and what are their pedigrees inside the art world?
Okay, good. I wouldn't really want to throw out names because we're still in the process of really dotting the I's and crossing the T's and all that. But the thing is, we're reaching out to a lot of people around the world. And we're very particular about people who are not like in the mainstream. They have a level of exposure to in the international scene. Some have been in major exhibitions around the world. We also have some who have also appeared on premiere TV show in the UK, like the Sky Artist of the Year campaign, which they do annually. We have presently someone we're also working with who's part of the team And his collections will soon be also showcased in the third quarter of this year. So we will have a lot of artists in the work. So we'll make those information privy to the public once they're available.
Okay. Let's go back to the actual topic of the NFTs themselves. Just let us know, like, what gives an actual NFT value, and in particular, your NFTs?
Well, there's the popular phrase that goes, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. It as in any NFT or any artwork, really, it depends on the individual. You might, intrinsic value are placed on probably maybe material, but aesthetic, it's something that you really can pick and say, this is what it's worth. So pegging the price in something is based on the valuation system of each individual. So we're trying to create communities who buy into things that they feel like they connect to. And then the stories that are behind our NFTs are what we think is our niche. Okay. We create iconic content. Like presently, the project we use it to spearhead and launch, which is a personal project of mine, is the Diva X project. Now, for instance, the Diva X project is something that resonates deeply with me because I pick courses that I feel very strongly about, and I use that to express my creation. Through my creation, I express so I pick those topics and I create.
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the DVX project. Tell us more about what the inspiration behind the DVX project is, and more specifically, what is the Moon Project? How does it actually connect to Elon Musk, his space endeavors, with the African digital art scene?
Same thing with creating awareness. The amount of eyes you have on something, right? In order for people to start moving or feeling the project, they really need to connect with it. What propelled me to really get the whole idea of the whole space race and all that was a futuristic mind of Elon Musk and people's likes of Richard Branson. And these are people who, they're dreamers. And the thing about being an artist myself is we were compelled, we're moved by imagery, but we're moved by possibilities. And then we're trying to capture this in a visual form, create a sense of engagement and interaction between the audience, the people who were trying to show these visuals to connect and sort of like spark up something in between them. That's the whole idea. Now, the Diva X Space Moon Project is to spur an engagement whereby people come together and start talking, especially Afro-Americans, because in the industry of space exploration, you really don't get to see people of color. A lot of people playing in that field. So I'm like, okay, let's use this whole visual to start this conversation. Let's start talking. You know, we have like TED Talks on a series, using our own platform, the InfluArt platform, to start making such conversations for youths to now start communicating and see how we can make them start dreaming and see how we could turn this into a reality. So the whole campaign spurs by the fact that we really want people to get interested in space exploration. That's the whole idea of the Moon Project. And
so legitimate art by legitimate artists with a social purpose.
Exactly, with a social purpose. So it now becomes culturally iconic creation, something that, you know, resonates with the people or same community. So they'll be like, okay, this captures a time in history when we probably, you know, started having this whole conversation pertaining to things that could actually develop the society, change them. So it starts with a conversation. So the visual, and there's everybody to be like, look, let's look inward and let's start this conversation. That's the whole line.
Let's look at your website, and on it, you stated where you promised to champion spirited campaigns on some topical issues in the course each year. So I know this goes back into the social endeavor aspects of your project. Which particular ones like hold the most value for you and that you would like to see? And what causes are you currently featuring other than the Diva X?
Presently, it's really on the Diva X still that we still have a lot of posts that we were picking on. We're still going to delve onto other projects later, and those ones, they'll also, artists will have their own concepts. But for the Diva X concept, pick some courses. Now, for the Moon Project, this is the course we're taking. We're building an awareness for people to become more conscious about the space age. And that's really something that we know will turn things around for humanity at large on a global scale. So we need to now start having that conversation. So how do we play our part for us to be seen? I said, want the NFT to be recognized, to be enlisted among the manifest of the names of those who will be going to space. Now, one of such people who has been listed is the businessman, the billionaire, the Japanese billionaire who went to space recently. That's the Mr. Maezawa. And while he was in space, he was engaged in a lot of tasks and he said I was going to do, and he was recording it. And a lot of people were tuning in and watching, trying to find out, okay, could this be done in outer space? And no matter how mundane the task was, very entertaining and interesting to watch, right? So we were like, okay, we were really inspired by this. And for one, I said, okay, let's do something about it. And we started the Diva X series. Now, we want the Diva X series to be among the NFTs, the first NFT to be listed in the manifest among those people who will be going out to space. And the Moon Project, which is the My Moon Project by the Japanese billionaire, also wants 1 or 2 people to follow him on board for the space voyage, the Moon space voyage in the year 2023. And that's next year. Well, I don't know how much it cleared that. Maybe it will happen because NASA had actually pushed the dates back a series of times. But we're going with that timeline. See, 2023, we also want to be enlisted among those very first NFT which will be going out to space. We got that sort of buzz to put the right sort of attention that we require, that people will now really start giving about what we're doing out here in Africa and African Americans, people of color around the world. So it's really much about a cry for attention. So we're trying to do something that's novel, something that's not been done, something that will probably make people raise their eyebrows and be like, what's this guy's going about? And that in itself, we believe, might just give us the needed attention. Then we also have another course, which we will be pushing, and it takes off on the 4th of April, 2022. That's on 2 Mondays from now, from we're recording this. And we're commemorating the nomination of one of the most popular Afrobeats pop stars Africa right now, who is known as Wizkid. So we're doing a special limited edition series of a commemorative piece of Diva X honoring his nomination and also posthumously celebrating an anticipated win in the forthcoming Grammy that holds on the 4th of April. The launch and the auction goes live on the 4th of April, which is on Monday. So there'll be a lot of buzz on Twitter because it will be trending. And Wizkid has more than 10 million followers. So you can understand how crazy it's going to be. And this, you need to go on Twitter for you to know how crazy and erratic its fans. So with this, we also are diehard Wizkid fans. So Diva X will be rooting for Wizkid to win one of the 3 nominations for that night.
Yeah, definitely a name known throughout the world. So great selection on that one. Good choice.
Yeah.
Switching up the topic a little bit. You mentioned in the past that you're going to have a DAO community for the platform and that this is going to be more allowing the investors to purchase from your featured artist. Can you just elaborate a little bit more about how that's going to work?
Okay. Now for this, what we're looking at for the DAO community is we want to create a community that make possible for the artists to feel very comfortable that they do not really need to create works based on financial sustenance or to be driven by the economic factor of wanting to make a sale. So with the community guarantees that there is a ready market to buy into what we're creating on our platform. That's the whole idea. And if we see projects that we're passionate about, the DAO community or the DAO fund that we're going to raise can easily buy into this project. So if we make it premium, like for instance, we create a DAO contract that we could raise maybe 10,000 dollars or probably maybe 50,000, and we leave very passionate about 1 or 2 NFT projects, we're putting that money on it. That's the whole idea. And then whichever of the sub projects, once we're growing it and they're buying in, it actually pushes the value of that project and it becomes something more soon after, such that on those stores. Because on OpenSea variables, the algorithm looks out for projects that are being bought into on a premium. So it just shoots up to the ranking. Once they see the sort rates, once we have our community building up, it's a no-brainer for us. So we have a community that's investing, that covers the funding part, the capital part of the creative aspect of what we're doing. I think it's a win-win for everyone.
Thank you for explaining that business model. And lastly, what does your personal future inside the NFT sector, the NFT world actually look like?
But the way NFTs go, I see there's a lot of potential in it has. We've not even scratched the surface as it is. the technology is still at its infant stage. And I believe over time, as it evolves, we'll also try and see ways it will open for us to be able to also diversify and be able to play around with it a bit and see how it will make our offerings, as in creations, become readily available to people who are investors, people who are just lovers, and creators alike to actually come on board. The more inventions and innovations that occur on NFT plane, as in the blockchain technology, the more it becomes more evolved, more flexible, and it becomes as mass popular means of exchange, the sky is the limit. Also for the metaverse, the whole Web3 space is new. I could recall like 2 months back, Elon Musk was like, couldn't make out what NFT was about. Elon always very negative on things that he doesn't really catch on first. And that means it's like, look, I'm about to start off. And then just some few weeks back, he's already rooting for an NFT platform. Like, yep, as expected, here he is.
So anyone who's interested in finding more about Diva X or Mr. Akhimie himself, they can contact him via the links that are on the screen. You can also see the links that are provided in the description box below. I just want to say thank you again for taking time to join us today, Paul Akhimie.
Thank you very much.
It was an absolute pleasure.
Pleasure is all mine, really.
Take care.